This is Faith Encouraged with Father Barnabas Powell. Homilies designed to help you live a purposeful and faith-filled life in Jesus Christ. Here's Father Barnabas.
I am increasingly amazed at the self-righteousness of those who are correct. I had this wonderful experience this past week. There's two young men who came to see the church, brought by a third young man who was Orthodox. And he had texted me and he said, "Father, I want to bring these two young men to come and see the church." And one of the guys he's a politician and he had run for office, and the other guy was his campaign manager, and they do a podcast and all this kind of stuff, and they're big into politics and so on and so forth. And Evan wanted them to come and see the church and meet me and talk to me about the faith and so on and so forth. And so as I was in here and I was showing them around, and of course I was being my usual over-the-top boisterous self, and just because I figure if they're going to do this to themselves, I'm throwing into the deep end. If they live, God bless them. If they don't, oh well, that's life. So that's recreation for me, folks. Some of you golf, some of you do this. This is what I do for fun. So they came and they were just delightful men, brilliant, very, very sharp men, Christians. And they were fascinated by what I was telling them about the Orthodox faith. And so they began to ask me questions about, well, what does this passage mean in the Bible here? And what does that passage mean in the Bible there? I said, well, to tell you the truth, I really don't care what you think this passage means. I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. And they looked at me like, well, are you trying to insult us? I said, well, if you're insulted, that's on you. I hope you get through that. But if it helps you feel any better, I really don't care what I think the passage means either. What does the church say? And it was like I had flipped on a light for these folks. Like, wait a second, you mean I'm not left to my own devices here? I don't have to learn ancient Greek. By the way, there's nothing wrong with learning ancient Greek. I recommend it highly, but get ready for the verbs to really beat you to death. I'm just going to be honest with you. You mean I don't have to learn all that stuff? I can actually just listen to the church and depend on collective wisdom from 20 centuries so that I can discern what is wise and what isn't wise? And it was just like a new concept for them. And I want you to think about this, brothers and sisters, because we live in an age, watch this. Now, gang, I'm going to tell you this right now. You get this, and you're going to be able to have a path to help your relationships. You're going to be able to make better decisions at work. You're going to be able to make better decisions about how you raise your children. You're going to make better decisions about how your husband or your wife. Young people, you're going to make better decisions about where you're going to go to college, who you're going to date, where you're going to spend your money, how you're going to set the priorities of your life. This is a big deal, guys. And in fact, it's one of the central aspects of what it means to be a mature Orthodox Christian. Orthodox Christianity gives me the ability to discern between good and bad, healthy and unhealthy, the right path or the wrong path. It's an interesting truth that orthodoxy means right worship, correct worship. But that's actually too small a definition. The better understanding of the word orthodox is full, complete, well-rounded, healthy, mature, grown up. Because you see, brothers and sisters, we live in a day and an age that has lost the ability to understand nuance. You're either 100% right or you're 100% wrong. And God forbid I would ever admit that a Democrat had a good idea or a Republican had a good idea. For shame. I can feel the vapors coming on me even as I speak. But you see, we live in this age that is so crushingly anti-life polarized. I read an article just the other day that said that the United States is ripe for another civil war. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, when you're so right on one side or so right on the other side that you can't possibly see the perspective of somebody that differs from you, you're doomed to create division, not unity. Don't you remember the slogan of the United States? Is it still true? E pluribus unum? Out of the many, one? Well, how can we reach that sense of unity? How can you reach that sense of unity in your marriage? How can you reach that sense of unity with your coworkers? How can you reach that sense of unity even in your own heart? I find myself divided against myself most of the time. I know I need to lose weight. I almost punched a doctor last week who told me, well, Father, maybe you should lose weight. Oh, really? I'm shocked. You're really the first person who's ever told me that. Are you serious? You mean that's the key? He picked up about halfway through that I was being sarcastic. And so my point is, I'm even divided against myself in my own heart. How am I going to learn how to bring unity even to my own heart? Because folks, listen, let me tell you something. You can't be united in your marriage unless you're united in your heart already. You can't do that. Your relationships are going to be an icon of the inner turmoil and inner chaos of your own heart. It always is, always happens. There's no exceptions to it. Now, that's not about shame or guilt. It's not about naughty that you've broken a rule. It's about discerning, being awake enough, mature enough, sober enough, grown up enough, so that you can be discerning. You can tell the difference between the healthy path and the unhealthy path. We have a whole society today that is gripped by absolute blindness to running off a cliff. And they think they're working for freedom. In today's New York Times, there's an article, "We are not the resistance. We are dealing with a group of people who don't want our new society, our new nation to be born." Well, point of order, Madam Chairman. I don't want your new nation. Your new nation looks a lot like fascism to me. Your new nation looks a lot like totalitarianism to me, where we are gripped by the politically correct and we have to parse every word out of our mouth because the folks may be offended. I don't want to live in that. That's not the new nation I'm interested in. I kind of like the nation that was founded myself. I kind of hope that survives for my children and my grandchildren. So when you tell me you want a new nation, I want you to know I react negatively to that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the sad part about it is the person writing this article has absolutely no ability to hear my voice. Her hearing says, oh, he's part of the toxic patriarchy, toxic masculinity. He just wants to put people down. He just wants to maintain the old white men's club. Conversely, a wise person with discernment will be able to read that article and hear, brothers and sisters, look at me in the face. This is what you get when you mistreat people different than you. This is what you turn them into. You turn them into revolutionaries who want to destroy you rather than work with you. This woman is convinced there's nobody on the other side to work with because we're all a bunch of racists. Why would she think that? Because all too many times she has reason to. Now, how in heaven's name, my angels, are you going to navigate this sense of confusion? How are you going to discern between the good path and the bad path? In your own heart, in your own marriage, with your own children, with your work. How are you going to do that? My brothers and sisters, I tell you this morning that the vision that we see in our gospel lesson and in our epistle lesson gives us the path. But it is a path of a focused, purposeful practice of a daily faith. Not once a week, not now and again, but a Monday through Sunday practice of our Orthodox faith. You will never train your soul, your mind, your sense of feelings. Let me tell you something. If you don't train your soul, you're going to be guided by your feelings. Well, I just feel. Well, isn't that sweet, honey? Here's a cookie. I'll go sit quietly over there, and we'll come get you when we need the children. If you're gripped by your feelings, you're going to go a million different directions, and you're going to find yourself dividing rather than uniting. If you're gripped by your ideology, you're going to find yourself dividing rather than uniting. But if you learn to train your mind, if you learn to train your soul, through the daily practice of the rhythm of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving that the Orthodox faith gives you, this lifestyle, if you learn to train your soul, you will find yourself able to navigate the complexities of modern life. But it will not happen if you stay asleep to the necessary discipline of a daily faith. I tell people all the time who come to me for confession, I want you to do two things a day. I want you to pray in the morning and pray at night. And I don't want you to just sit in your car and pray. Now, if you want to sit in your car and pray, God bless you. But at least twice a day, stand in front of your icon corner. You do have an icon corner, I trust. Stand in front of your icon corner for 5 minutes. You've got 5 minutes. Skip listening to the news in the morning before you do your prayers. You've got 5 minutes. In the morning, stand in front of your icon, make the sign of the cross. Heavenly King, Comforter, the Spirit of truth who is everywhere present, filling in all things, treasury of blessings, giver of life, come and abide in us and cleanse us from every stain and save our souls, O good one. Then the Our Father, make your cross, have a great day. Have your juice and your coffee. And before you go to bed, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, Heavenly King, Comforter, the Spirit of truth who is everywhere present and filling all 3 to 5 minutes. Do that. And do it, folks, do it every day. Every day. Monday through Sunday. Watch, in a few weeks, your sensitivity to the wisdom and the grace of God will be getting stronger. You'll start being able to see more clearly. You'll start seeing the cracks in the floor and being able to avoid the pitfalls and the potholes of your life. Does that sound interesting to you at all? I'm kind of for that, guys. You understand me? And guess what? You're going to be so focused on your own chaos and your own brokenness in your own heart, you're not going to have time to judge anybody else. You're going to be focused on getting peace and quietness in your own heart. And you're going to be free. Not the freedom that they're spouting about today. That's not freedom. Folks, it's not free to do anything you want. If you do anything you want, listen to me. If you do what you want, you're going to be a slave. Trust me. If I do what I want, I'm going to be a slave to my passions and my desires. If you think that's what freedom is, I want to be able to express myself. I want to become truly me. What does that mean? I'm telling you, folks, the only way to know yourself is to forget yourself. The only way to save your life is to lose it. The only way to have peace is to fight the war for your own heart. And you do that with the weapons that are not man-made, but are made by the timeless faith. May God grant us the courage to be truly Orthodox.
Father Barnabas is the priest at the Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene Greek Orthodox Church in Cumming, Georgia. Find out more at faithencouraged.org. That's faithencouraged.org.